Pastor Ken. Well, you can hear it. Yes. Oh, you can hear the wind. Oh, you can hear the wind. Well, Pastor Ken, I hope the good God's wind will keep a-flowing, and this manure will keep a-growing in all the beautiful agape love. Yes, I hope the good gods keep that wind a-flowing. And this very evil buddy, me, in agape love, will start to grow. And this glorious wind will keep blowing my way. Whoa, there's the wind. La, 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 all right, I have no idea if this is going to last. Part 4. Let's jump in. Bingo. Well, I can't park like you do. All right, I'm going to park 4 places, I think. Let's go. Bingo. I love you, Pastor Ken. Listen, you're kind of, I think, all mushy good. But let's start with Isaiah 61. Now, I can't tell you any of the chapter and verse, but I looked at it. I'm going to turn this off. Sorry, I got to turn this Uber. Turn it off. Okay. Isaiah 61. I read the chapter twice, but that day. That's a long time ago. For me. But the concept I really was getting out of it was this long suffering, and it seemed right that would be a missionary's chapter, and so that really stirred me. But the details of that are not coming to surface. But that was like I read that. And I read it again. I said, whoa, yeah. And of course, you had talked about the whole thing, you Son of David, have mercy on me. And the crying out and all of that. And the intensity. You really spent about 15 minutes making sure we felt what was going on there. You don't understand how magnificent that is. I was laughing to myself because the first time I ever used this computer, I wasn't interested in the computer. I love this little clippy thing that came up on, I think, AOL, whatever it was. This little clippy cartoon. Whatever it did, I still couldn't figure out how to use it. I couldn't use it now. But I was intrigued with all this clipping. It was fun for me. So you kind of remind me of that. We're going through lots of intensified biblical realities from Sunday to Sunday, but you have this clipping. You're so anointed, and it's just so you could feel without drama. As I told you, I just love the sincerity, and I'm glad you talked about it or wrote about it back. But the concept of now Isaiah 61 and long suffering and all of that, and I'm convinced that all the Jews are wrong. I get into theological arguments no matter where anybody is. But the point is anyway, I won't go through it. But God was always mad at Israel for a few things. But one of the few things always was they didn't care for the poor anymore. They didn't love. They just became self-righteous again, self-religious again. So anyway, Son of David, have mercy on me. And I do want to say, Clippy, that when you went through that song and you said, I'll stand or sit or what the details, but it was very intense. And I felt every second of that, every second. Like I felt that hymn. I felt it because I was in you. And you were in that hymn. Those words, the magnitude, the Spirit's illuminating them more to you as you just quoted them. Thus there was no drama. It was just pure reaction. And yet, it was so intense. You, not knowingly, just kind of saw yourself from outside for a moment and said, you know, I'd probably be the guy that would kneel and be quiet. And everyone laughed. A beautiful laugh, because it came off of a beautiful moment. It was perfect comic relief. It was beautiful. But anyway, so the concept that God wants to save, God wants to save. You had this missionary who was willing to say, Jesus, don't come. No, hold it up. And so that kind of thing. And there is not a week that I remember, I don't remember, other than I think one time a mission, you couldn't really clean up. They kind of ended it, I think, but I don't remember. It doesn't matter. The point is, you always want to make sure people meet Jesus. I bet you believe in your soul that, like, somebody's got to meet Jesus. Like, what am I doing here, God? I want them to know what I know, feel what I feel. Wow. So hear all of that to the praise and worship that I told you on part one. I was going to save that to the end. Pastor Ken. It was almost 25 minutes in. So if you ever, whatever song that was, it's not the first time I've heard it. But somehow, 25 minutes in, I have to tell you, wow. And the reason I say wow is that when you watch the 35 minutes that I asked you to please have Sam look at. Really a question. Is Sam the guy that, you have those stills before the actual service that kind of is like a visual bulletin? And Sam runs the men's group, but that might be a different Sam, so I was curious about that. And, but anyway, I meant that is the most action-oriented, meaning I decided to do something. That's why I said that video was, sum it up, God won't steer a parked car. God won't steer a parked car. There's got to be some element of, some element of obedience, some element of faith, some willingness to go, okay, I'll authorize it. But either way, it's just always something we gotta do. So that's everything you have been in my life, especially without Sandy, has the culmination of that 35 minutes, because it's really like put up or shut up. Now, of course, I hate doing that. You have no idea how many false starts I have. And so many of them are not my fault. That really makes me feel like, come on, God. And I hope this time, God, goes okay. All right. Today's first day of the rest of your life. You're 65, you're still here. So I got something to do. And I want to do it through you, you weird Jew. And all the religions that are behind it. Most people that have any heart and soul are behind it. So let's get it done. And so, 25 minutes into the tape of Sunday service, that song was going on, and that's when that happened. And after the service, and then, the death of a vision, like, it's just the way God does things. At least it seems that way. So I'm telling you, for 3 years, I knew to write this book. Doesn't matter. It's a different book than the other book that was written about me, and that I wouldn't approve. So somehow, when you said write a book, and Herman said, and I thought you might know some publishers. So my point is, I started the book. I don't think I sent it to you. I started it. And then, about 6 minutes into chapter 1, I think it was the introduction, it wasn't chapter 1 yet. No, it was chapter 1. The point is, I'm ready. I'm as ready as I need to be to keep going and finish this, unless God stops it. Unless the Lord builds a house, they labor in vain that build it. But what I want you to understand is that it was during the worship service that I knew. It was the aha moment. I knew. And I started it. My action point was, I determined to start the book. I determined to have chapter 1 done, so that I'm not just saying I'd never know if I get to 2 or 3 or 4 and whatever. But the issue is, that you do 1% and God comes 99. Like maybe the pool of Bethesda is going blah. Maybe the Spirit's wind is. This is the time. Esther, for such a time as this. Who knows? Moses, listen, I'm sorry. You're getting lazy up in that palace. You're going to work your ass off until you die. I got work for you to do. So anyway, all that culminated, and I was writing chapter 1, and then my storage was full. I've never had a problem with my storage being full with this iPhone. I pay $10 a month to iCloud, so I would never have that problem. The problem is, the phone is 2 years. I've had it for, I think, 2 years. It's an iPhone 6. It's very old. I can't even get to my messages. I can't even hardly send me messages. And I used to have 5-7 articles a day, and I put a little commentary on a few of them for what I didn't know. But I was sending them. That's why I got the iCloud. Now I don't know where they are, and I don't even know if they go. But the issue is that I cleared a lot of things. I'm so afraid I threw things away. I have no idea. This is truly an 8-year-old going through his father's stuff. And the father said, just get rid of what we don't need. 8-year-old perspective. So I'm almost, 1339. Wow, that's magical. 3 13s. So whatever it did, I'm sure it'll be temporary, because I've had that problem a lot when I had, smartphones and, whatever. That was a regular problem. But I thought I had just beat the system. And just when, out of all the videos and tapes and attempts and, this isn't the first time in 3 years I tried to start something with this. It's the second time in 3 years. And I tried very seriously in Pittsburgh. Every time my insanity or impossible mountains. Either way, it doesn't matter. Both, actually. So, and this has nothing to do with Turner Frouner. I already knew that was a bunch of them. Oh, come on. 80, Oh, listen, I got the finest food. And 80%, though, I threw in the garbage. But in that garbage is 80%, is 20%. No. So that's why it has to be pure. New wine, new wineskin. Agape love is still new wine. So we need to do it in action. and I knew that I have to write this book. So what I wanted you to know is during praise and worship, for real, I knew it. All of a sudden it was coming to me. I knew what I had to do for chapter 1. I knew how it had to be. I just knew. It was all during the, like that's why I went back. I had to find where that moment was. Like you listen to when a word is spoken, I don't know what that's called. But you copy them down, put them in the library. So I had an amazing moment. So I need to write the book. I started, and I had a problem. This one, 15 minutes. So I don't know how much. So I know that my action point is over the weekend to finish that chapter 1. Hopefully before Sunday's sermon, because that takes up a lot of activity, which is beautiful. Because it's search me and try me and find the wicked way activity. The spiritual diagnostic machine that you are, Mr. Clippy. All right, I got through. So I'm just going to send this Bob-a-doo. All right, I'll wait to hear from you. I'm very interested because I need help with this book. That doesn't mean you're supposed to do it. It just means I have no one else to ask. And you're the only one that would care enough to see something of magnitude of what I want to do get done. I mean, you're not the person to be. You might have problems within religious doctrines of where I could fit in, because, but you don't have any problem with the concept of what I want to do. Make sure every lonely person has a real non-judgmental, uplifting, unconditionally loving friend. Wow, that comes every week with no agenda other than to hang out and attach to each other, grow together, blah, blah. Wow, that ain't gonna hurt nobody, and won't cost anything. It'll just become a glorious, sweet, kumbaya movement, and hopefully it'll unify. Because people that hate each other, if they're in the same room visiting two different grandmas, somehow, well, at least they united on compassion. All right. Put a mask on that guy, but we don't need to anymore. Oh, you better, right? He just keeps talking.